What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Cheer Up. On today's episode, I have Bird, aka Alberto. I'm just kidding. His name is Alberto, aka Bird. They call him Bird, but to me, he's Bird, aka Alberto. I got permission to use that, so we will. Anyway, today's podcast is going to be super cool. Bird comes from all the way from Charlotte All-Stars, North Carolina. He's a former athlete and a coach. And I just love this conversation with him because he explained to me and we talked about how their coaches, how they approach athletes and how they talk to them when they're struggling with certain things. It was a great conversation with him, and we talked about other stuff. So I can't wait for you to listen to this podcast and watch it. And if you take something valuable from it, please subscribe to the channel. We love our subscribers, and follow along the journey because there's plenty more to come. On another hand, before I release this and let's go in with this podcast, I want to give a quick shout out to Seasick Apparel. Seasick, they're right here. You know why they're right here? They're right here because they're close to my heart. This brand is a family-owned brand here local in Florida. And they make this apparel, really cool apparel for fishing, boating, ocean. If you love all that, I'll leave the description down below so you can go check them out. Get yourself a shirt, any accessories. Hit them up on Instagram at Seasick Apparel on Instagram. I'll put all the information down below. Anyway, let's get on with this episode with Bird, aka Alberto. All right, guys. So today on the podcast on Cheer Up, we have Bird is the word, aka Alberto. I'm kidding. His name's Alberto.
Hi, everyone.
Aka the Bird. He is a former, correct me if I'm wrong, you're a former Top Gun athlete?
Yeah, I did Top Gun for a year. Some people wouldn't really say like alumni, but I mean, I did like a whole season there after college. So
Okay. He's a former Top Gun athlete. He also cheered at Evolution's All-Stars and an athlete and a coach at Broward Elite. And currently he's a coach for Charlotte All-Stars in North Carolina. So without further ado, let's give Bird a big round of applause. Thank you for being on the podcast. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, man, no problem. Thank you so much for being here. So you used to live in Florida.
So I was born and raised in Miami, but then my family moved all around South Florida just because we owned a lot of restaurants and stuff like that. So like I lived in Miami, then I lived in the Florida Keys and Marathon for a couple years. Then we moved to Cape Coral and Fort Myers area. And then we moved back to Miami. And then after that, after I think like fourth grade and on, it had just been Miami. And then I lived in Broward for a little bit.
Oh, cool. That's awesome. But were you cheering at the time or no, nothing like that?
No, I didn't start cheering till middle school.
Okay.
So I was living in Miami.
You were living in Miami?
Yeah.
Is that where Elite Evolution All-Stars is?
Yeah. So my All-Star career actually first started at Florida Cheer Legacy. It was a gym that was open for about 2 years. It was kind of near, kind of like where Step Ahead All-Stars is. In that area.
Oh, okay.
So I had first joined that gym with my coach Jojo, who sadly passed away a couple years ago. And from there, he was like, "Oh, I'm starting up a new gym," and it was out of Evolution All Stars. So we were kind of using their space for a little bit. And from there, it kind of didn't fall through just because like we were all adults. It was an open team, so it's kind of hard to keep that alive. And the gym needed a coach, so I was like, "Oh, like I want to do it. Let's do it." Because I was already coaching before that with dance at my old high school, and then also coaching tumbling at different gyms during I was in college and stuff. So that's how I started coaching at Evolution, and then the following year I ended up doing their open team, Open 4 Angels, while coaching the senior 2 there.
Ah, that's awesome. That's cool. So let me ask you a question. How did you get into cheer? How was that? At what age did you get into cheer? Especially because as a male, I always wonder how do you get into cheer? I know the little boys at our gym, and they have sisters, and so they get into cheer because of that. But how did you get into cheer?
For me, it was around middle school. I was dancing at the time, and I was dancing at the school because it was a performing arts school, and they had just brought up their cheer team again. So I was like, oh, let me try it. So I started doing middle school cheer, starting like middle of sixth grade, and then from there, kind of just took off from there because they're like, oh, we want boys, and I was like, oh, okay, yeah, sure, I'll try it. And at the time, like I didn't really know much about it, and then after that, I kind of like stuck with it, and I was like, yeah, I kind of was going on and off with dance. So like I would do dance one year, cheer one year, dance one year, and then cheer kind of just stuck after that.
It just you just kept going with it. That's awesome.
Yep.
How did your dad feel about that? You know, plenty of dads like not I'm saying that I'm not like that because if I had a son and obviously his sisters are in cheer, I would not care if he's in a cheerleader. I think actually male cheerleaders are the coolest. So how did your
Oh,
dad feel about you
100%.
going into cheer?
Dad wasn't he wasn't really like fond of it at all, to be honest. So like my freshman year, I wanted to cheer. He was like, no. And I was like, please, I want to. I wanted to do it at the high school. Was that? He goes, the only way you'll be able to do that is if you play football, you can cheer. So I was like, okay, fine. So my freshman year, I was playing football while cheering on the sideline.
Oh,
So it was playing half of the
wow.
game and then cheering half of the game. And at that point, I was just like, okay, this is getting tiring. And I was like, I don't want to play football because like you can get hurt a lot in football, but then also
Yeah.
cheerleading, you literally can get hurt all the time. But I didn't care.
The love you had for cheer was more than football, so you didn't care.
Yeah, like I would get knocked out in cheer perfectly fine. If I got knocked out in football, I'd be like pissed. I'm like, no, I don't want to do this. It's just too much.
You just you just didn't love it. You didn't have the same love for it.
No, and I was a linebacker too, so like I was like blowing through people, and I wasn't.
Wow.
I didn't like it.
It wasn't your cup of tea for sure.
Nope.
Wow, that's amazing how you got into cheer. I love that story. Half football, half cheer. I've never heard of somebody actually doing that. I think I've never. That's awesome. How did you do that? Like you played half of the
It,
game and then cheered. How did the coaches allow you to do that? Because obviously you were a very important asset to the football team.
it was it wasn't easy. So football practice and cheer practice were never at the same time ever because they never wanted the girls out there with the boys.
Right.
So I would go to cheer practice, and then right after that, it would be football practice. So cheer practice would probably we got out I think at 2:20 at the time, so we'd run all the way till about like 4:20, and then 4:30 to 7:30 would be football practice. So
Wow.
I'd be like exhausted going from one to the other, one to the other. But then for games, they all agreed on like, okay, he plays half the game, he cheers the other half of the game. So like high school cheerleaders all know like the games, like if you don't go to the games after a certain amount of time, you can't be on the team anymore. So I had to make sure
Right.
that I was juggling both without like exerting myself. But luckily, football ended in November, like beginning of December. So after that, I was like, okay, I'm good. So I did just the basketball cheer team and saved
And that's
myself
it.
after that.
Wow, that's amazing, man. Let me ask you this. So you cheered all over Florida and pretty much right all over South Florida. Um,
Yeah.
then so at what point in your life did you say, or what made you move from South Florida, where there's so many cheer teams, to North Carolina? Did you know you were going to go cheer in North Carolina?
When I made the move, it was 2020. So UCA just happened, and then COVID struck, so everything shut down right after UCA. And I know you. I think you guys went to UCA that year. Or you guys pulled probably,
Yeah, yeah.
and our gym pulled. Bartley, I was coaching for them and cheering for them at the time. We had pulled from UCA, and slowly everything just shut down. So being at home and then kind of just like I was starting to like my gears started to turn, and I said, I think I want to change my scenery. I don't want to be here anymore. I want to do something else.
Really?
So my cousins lived up here, and they were always saying, hey, whenever you want to move up here, move up here. Well, you can move in with us, over and over again. And I was like, you know what, I'll take the offer. So I hopped onto ASJ on Facebook, and I said, I'm moving to Charlotte, North Carolina, and I want a coach who has an available position for me. And from there, like Rockstar, cheer athletics, cheer extreme, Impact One, Omni Elite, Charlotte All Stars, um, pretty much every gym in the area contacted me saying, send us your resume.
Wow.
And from there, I was sending resumes, and they're all like, when do you arrive? I said, I'll arrive around June. I think it was around June 15th, June 15, 2020. That's when I arrived. And after that, the following week I got there, I was doing interviews every single day.
Oh, wow. So you went to interview all these different gyms all over North
Yeah.
Carolina, pretty much.
Yep.
Wow. What made you pick Charlotte All Stars? What was that determining factor?
Well, actually, I had my interview with Charlotte All Stars, but when I first moved up here, I was actually coaching at Rockstar Cheer.
Ah,
And that was the gym that I had picked first, but that was because it was 10 minutes from where I was living. I didn't have a car at the time because I had just moved up here. I left everything behind. I just brought my clothes with me. So I started fresh.
oh, wow.
Yeah, like I bought furniture, everything up here. So that gym was only 10 minutes from my where I was staying, and it was only probably like a 20-minute walk. So
It made sense.
it was convenient. And then once I got my car, I switched Rockstar locations. So I was at Rockstar Lake Norman, which is now ATA Lake Norman. And I went to Rockstar Carolina, which they had two locations, one in Rock Hill and one in Columbia, South
Wait a
Carolina.
minute. Rock Hill, South Carolina has what gym?
It was a Rockstar Cheer.
Really? I used to live in Rock Hill. That's what I'm saying. I never knew.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, yeah. I used to live in Charlotte too. I used to live
Oh,
in
wow,
Charlotte.
cool.
Yeah, you know where the Charlotte Fire Academy is? I used to live in the apartments right next on Tryon. Do you know Tryon Street in
Okay,
Charlotte?
Tryon Street. Yeah, I'm literally like right down the street from Tryon.
Are you really? Yeah, so the Charlotte Fire Academy, I mean, you can't miss it. There's a fire academy, and so I lived in the apartments next to it. And then we moved to Rock Hill, bought a house, and but I never knew Rockstar Chill was there. That's interesting.
Yeah, it used to be it wasn't anything. It located inside of Rock Hill Gymnastics, which used to be Thomas Gymnastics back then. And
Oh.
they said, "Hey, we want to open up a Rockstar location here. Can we do it?" So they let us use a side, and that was where the cheer was. But when I moved over to the other Rockstar location, I started seeing a little bit more responsibility. So I ended up becoming the program director for both locations, and I was coaching the world's teams at both locations. So I would do half the day at Rock Hill, and then I would do the other half of the day at Columbia. And this was an hour and 30 minutes apart from each other. So this was
I
not
know,
close.
I know, and it's super hot in Columbia than it is in Rock Hill. Because
Yeah, driving back and forth.
go ahead.
Yeah, driving back and forth was not the easiest for me. It was kind of hard. I was exhausted every day.
Oh man, you ended up late.
I was never late, actually, believe it or not. I would, because on, I think it was Mondays and Wednesdays, I'd be in Columbia, and then Tuesdays and Thursdays, I'd be in Rock Hill. And then on Sundays, it was half and half.
Wow, and you lived in Charlotte, so
Yeah, I lived in
right
Charlotte.
that time. Wow,
Hmm.
because from Rock Hill to Charlotte is another, let's say, 30 minutes.
Yeah, it was like 45 where I was staying because I was originally up in Lake Norman. And I would drive from Lake Norman all the way down to Rock Hill, and then from Rock Hill all the way over to Columbia. Then I ended up moving to Huntersville, which is probably like 20 minutes from Lake Norman, which is a little bit more south near
So,
the
yeah,
inner city.
yeah.
And from there, the time went down a little bit.
Wow, that's crazy. That's crazy. What made you become a coach, a cheer coach?
To be honest,
Trans
it
you
was
know,
my
transitioning from an athlete to a coach. It was what made you become a coach?
well, doing it as an athlete, I was like, I definitely from a coach's aspect and an athlete's aspect, being a coach is a lot harder than it is to be an athlete. Because for us, it's like we come, we learn what we got to do, and then we go for it. But then coaches, I would see all they would do for us. Literally the countless nights of staying up, figuring out how are we going to move this formation here, how are we going to fit this person here, how are we going to replace this person here in case they're injured, and like
Wow.
just the teaching aspect because I also wanted to be a teacher growing up too, which I ended up doing a year of teaching, which that didn't ever fall through because it was definitely not like coaching. Coaching definitely it something that I picked up from my coach that passed away a couple years ago. He like he is the embodiment of like the perfect coach, I say, because he really was there for all of us. He was there when we were down. He would check up on us whenever we were down. And seeing that, I was like, I want to be that to someone else.
Yeah.
So that's what I like really drove me into coaching.
Oh wow, that's awesome. So somebody else inspired you to be a coach.
Yep.
That's cool. And then it's true. We don't think about how what everything that a coach does to get everything done. Because as an athlete, you leave, you're done for the day. But everything you have to think about, and it's that is true. I didn't never thought of that.
Yeah,
That is
we take
true.
our work home with us, that's for sure. Because we never stop thinking about it. We're like, okay, like I'm always thinking about my teams. I'm like, oh, well, we're gonna put this pyramid here right after stunts, and then this for this team. And I coach 3 teams. So like I'm like my brain is always moving for
Wow.
these
Oh
teams.
wow. And as an athlete, you're only thinking about yourself and you go home. You're thinking about 20 other kids, 30, 40 other kids that you're responsible for. Make sure they don't get hurt, you know?
Exactly. Yep.
So talking about being a coach, right? Um it might this topic might get a little touchy. So
Yeah.
but what your opinion like what are your thoughts on yelling at kids as a coach? Do you yell once in a while at your athletes or you go with a more soft aspect or both? What are your thoughts on that?
Definitely my kids tell me I'm both. I'm definitely both, but I'm not more of a yell type of person. I'm more of a person where like I'll look at you and I'll say something and I know very well it's like, oh wait, no, let's not mess with him right now. Like I give them the look and I'm like, you sure you want to go that way right now with me? And I'm like, and also I let my kids know too. Like I'm gonna be like, hey y'all, I didn't have the best day. I'm sorry. I don't want to take it out on y'all. So like let's just have a really good practice. Like I let them know too. Because at the end of the day, these kids are human. They're like we can't just expect them to do everything we want with the snap of our fingers. They're here to learn. Like we're here to teach them. So
Yeah.
sometimes they're not going to know what's happening. But my coaching style with it is more of like I'm like, let's try it and then we'll fix what was wrong with it after. And they're like, yeah, but I'm like, just do it because you're thinking too much right now. I just need you to try it. So I don't really
Right.
yell at kids. If I do, it's mainly more of like they caught me on a bad day, and it's just like I'm just like I don't like coaching to a wall. I like to say like I like responses. Like if I say yes, please like talk to me back. I want to know like because when you're just staring at me and I don't hear anything, I don't know what's happening. I don't know if it's coming through the right way or if you understand. Like tell me, ask me.
Acknowledge.
Yeah.
Exactly. No, I have mixed feelings about yelling or not even yelling, but just being kind of like I guess more assertive when you speak to them because I had 3 girls and they all three cheer, right? And sometimes I have to yell at them so they can kind of like snap out of it and be like, okay, I'm listening. You know what I mean? So I feel like if a coach yells, it's not a big deal. Some parents will be like, "Oh my god, he yelled at my child," because some parents parent differently. They parent their kids more softly and they don't yell, so the kid's not used to that. So they come out of the gym like crying. I've seen that. They come out of the gym crying. Oh, he yelled at me. So I'm like, okay, maybe because you're not listening. So, but I just wanted your input on and how you coached and your input on
Yeah.
yelling and being strict.
Yeah, definitely in our gym around like when we're all coaching, you'll never see any of us like straight up like yelling, screaming. Definitely. It's like more of a different approach because at the end of the day, they pay to be here, they want to be here, and also we don't want to be the reason why they stop cheering.
Right.
So we always got to think about that. Also, what's going on at home, we never know what's happening at home. So like they're coming here to escape the real world, which was what cheer was to me. I came to cheer to escape the real world, and that's why I kept going, and that's why we want to make sure that this is their escape. We don't want them to come here and hate it.
Right. And are you saying that right now? I remember on your audition for American Cheer Icon, you said that you escaped and Cheer and All Star. They brought you in as a family, and from there you just
Mm-hmm.
stayed with them. Um, so that was pretty neat. Tell me what happened with Cheer American Icon. Are you still guys going to that thing?
So yes, it's still happening.
Is it?
Everybody's like, yeah, all the parents at the gym are always like, so what's happening? Like, we haven't seen anything. I'm like, I promise it's still happening. Well, we got email saying like, hey, we're gonna let you guys know once we know, we will let you know. It was told that we were gonna be doing probably filming in the fall, which is kind of scary for a lot of us just because either some of us are in college. Some of us are literally coaching like I am right now. Like the fall is when we do our showcase. So like if I'm filming during our showcase, that would kind of like hurt me a little bit because I want to be there for my kids.
Yeah.
Um, but then also was that it was got picked up by a major network, so it won't be supposedly it was supposed to be a YouTube series. Now it's actually being brought up into like a full blown TV production, like on primetime television.
Wow, that's pretty exciting. That's pretty cool. So, but yeah, if it's in the fall, that'll hurt you guys for sure. I don't think they'll do that.
I hope not. I mean, it's only for 2 to 3 weeks of filming, so it's not like we're gone for like 4 months. Like filming's gonna be back to
Oh,
back to back to back. So just
I
hopefully it happens at a appropriate time because I also have choreography gig back in Miami at Evolution in October, and I really do not need it all like lining up with each other.
oh, you're coming back to Miami? You have choreography? You teach choreography?
Yeah, I do choreography. I've done some high schools. So I've also done some all-star gyms. I'm coming back to do Evolution um, teams. They have two teams they want me to do, and then I'm also doing choreo for a gym called Alpha Elite Athletics in like Fayetteville, South Carolina. So like I'm starting to branch out a little bit more because I love, creating, and I like my brain sometimes if someone can get in there, they're like, whoa, okay, he's a little crazy. But it's because I love doing this like insane things. Like my motions are never ever like basic. I always tell the kids, I'm
Yeah,
like, hey, you're gonna get some weird motions this year and you're just gonna have to go with it and sell it because I'm not changing them.
that's funny. And obviously they got to keep up with your your sass pretty much.
Yeah.
If you don't do it like me, you're not doing it right.
Exactly. I tell them all the time, I'm like, listen, if you're not doing it like this, I know. I always tell them, I always mess around with them. So like I always bring up Brenda from Scary Movie where she's like, out of my face. I tell that to them, I'm like, out of my face, go somewhere, do it. But they know I do it with love and they never know that I'm coming at them like serious. I'm just like, yo, like please just figure it out.
Wow, that's funny. Yeah. Oh man. So you're staying busy, which is awesome. Are you pretty nervous about this American Cheer Icon? Like, do you know what to expect? What do you
I
want to
don't
get
even
out of
know.
what do you want to get out of being on American Cheer Icon?
Definitely what I want is to like I'm already someone that like a lot of the kids at the gym look up to and they always like, oh, like whenever I think of like whenever they're sad or whatever, I always think of you because you're so light and you're bubbly and you're always having fun.
Oh,
I want to be that for a lot of people and then also just like expand myself as a person in the cheer community and really blow up my, choreography. And I also want to start doing like apparel. I want to design apparel and stuff like that. Like I've been designing some new stuff for my gym Charlotte because we have getting a uniform next year and I love doodling and stuff like that. So definitely
that's
that
cool.
would help like expand me as a person.
Right. Oh, that's cool. That definitely for sure. That'll get you a lot of exposure for sure. And your kids will be like, celebrity.
They already do that to me now because like when we're at cheer competitions, because like on TikTok, like I have a pretty good following.
Yeah.
And at competitions, like I'll be running to watch. Like I just got finished with like one of my teams. I'm going to run watch UV, which is our J2 at Cheersport last year, and I'm running, and I got stopped by like 6 people. Can we get a picture, please? Can we get a picture? And I'm like, yeah, sure. And all my kids are like, oh
That's
look, he's
awesome.
famous.
That's
But them, they
awesome.
don't care. My
Right,
kids do not
exactly.
care.
And it's kids from other teams that recognize you.
Yeah,
Oh
different
wow,
gyms,
that is
even gyms I've never seen before too. They're like, "Oh, can we get a picture with you?" Like there was some, I forgot where we were. I think it was Summit 2 years ago, and there was some team from Great White, from Cheersport Sharks up in Canada.
oh
And this little girl
wow.
comes up to me with like a strong French accent. She's like, "Oh, can I get a picture with you?" And I'm like, "Oh, wow, okay." Like I didn't expect it to be like very like everybody knew, not everybody, but that people know who I am right now. It's kind of like it's a little like
Right.
I'll forget it sometimes. Like I'm turning to my coworker at a competition. I'm like, why are they waving at me? And they're like, Bird, do you not know who you are sometimes? I'll forget. I forget because I'm not used to that lifestyle. And I feel like American Cheer Icon, that would even send it even more. And I'm just going to be like, I don't know how to.
Right. Good to manage all that. But no, I see you on my FYP, once in a while. Pretty cool. That's cool. That's awesome, man. Okay, so I have a more of a serious question for you. Um, as far as cheer goes, have you ever gotten bullied because of cheer? And
Um,
how did you get
like
through
coped
that?
with it.
Yeah, how'd you cope with it? And did it
Um,
make you want to stop cheering or no?
to be honest, not really. I never really got bullied for that at all, actually. I like, to be honest, I was someone who, like, you said something about me, I was like, okay, like I don't care. Like I was one of those type of people. I was very like okay with it. I mean, growing up, like middle school into ninth grade, I was still trying to figure myself out. So back then it did hurt me, but then once I like knew who I was and like the people who were around me and how much they loved me and who I was, after that I was just like, yeah, I don't care. I mean, like I'm living my life. I'm being athletic right now. Meanwhile, you're at home like on Xbox. Like, come on.
Right. What would you tell an athlete that, especially a male athlete that isn't cheer or wants to be a cheerleader and he's afraid of getting bullied?
Definitely like don't pay them any mind because they're not going to pay your bills. That's what I always say. Don't pay them no mind because they're not paying your bills. If you are having fun and you are having fun around the people that you're with, it doesn't matter what everybody else thinks. Because at the end of the day, if you're happy and you're enjoying yourself and you're doing something that actually like it puts purpose into your life and you feel like this is something you want to continue with, like who cares what everybody else thinks?
Exactly. It's tough because middle school is so tough. I think middle
Mm-hmm.
school is like the worst stage of a kid's life. Well, like you said, you're trying to figure out who you are. You're lost. You don't know what you want to do. You're insecure. My girls get bullied. I've gotten my girls get bullied, but luckily, my oldest daughter, she's like you. Like she doesn't care. She's like, I don't care. I don't care what you say about me. It's like so in that way, I never knew that about her. So last year, and she was talking to me, and I was like, oh, in my head, I'm like, nice. I like that. She's very confident of herself. And even now, like elementary school, kids are starting to bully the little 7, 6 year olds. It's
Yeah,
crazy. So, hearing something like that from you, I'm sure it'll touch somebody and I'll let them know that it's okay. Just don't mind any business. People don't pay your bills, like you said.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. What has been one of your biggest accomplishments? I have a hard time with that word. Accomplishments in cheerleading as an athlete and as a coach.
As an athlete, was being able to um like compete at the cheerleading worlds for my first time. That definitely was like I was like, wow, I'm here. Like I'm doing this. I finally get to do this, and I got to do it twice, luckily.
Cool.
One time as a spectator, two times as an athlete. So that made me happy. Um, and then as a coach, it's pretty much like just the way my athletes are with me, or is like the accomplishment I have, like seeing the happiness on their face. So like I've had an athlete come up to me and say, well, the mom came up to me after and she goes, I like you. I'm like, why? She goes, because my daughter came up to me and said, when I'm with Coach Bird, I feel safe. So like hearing that the kids feel safe around me and that they love seeing me around, they can't wait for me to come around the gym.
That gave me
Like
goosebumps, bro. That's the best thing you can hear from a parent and a kid. That gave me goosebumps. Like literally, you look like that's awesome, man. Uh-huh. Go ahead.
it's those moments that definitely are like, okay, I'm doing it right. You know what I mean? Like I even have this here on my desk. Like one of the kids got it for me. It says, behind every cheerleader who believes in themselves is a coach who believes in them first. And they get me little stuff like this. Or like another athlete got me it was funny. It's like other coaches, my coach, and it's like the other coach is like a donkey, and then the other like my coach it's a unicorn on a stripper pole. So it's that
That
type of
is
stuff. Or
awesome.
no, for real, like my kids like are
That
the
is
like
so awesome.
just them in general are is the accomplishment, seeing that they are happy. I've made them happy and I've made them love cheerleading.
Right. Oh, that is the best. True. That is the best as a coach. Wow, man, you're making a big impact on, especially on your team, on your cheerleading team. How many teams did you coach this season? Three, you said?
This season I coached three, but our half year hasn't started yet, so that would be four.
Oh man, wow, your brain must go like everywhere.
Yes.
How many kids per team?
Okay, so my junior one, we have 17. My senior prep 2.1 has 30. And then my
Wow.
U18 non tumble five, we have 22.
What? Wow. Wow. How do you manage so many kids? It's
I don't know, but
crazy.
I know
I
all
can
I know is that I know all their names now, and I'm perfectly fine with it.
You know all their names?
I know every single one of their names now. I've remembered them.
What? Listen. I have three daughters, and I can barely sometimes get one of their names right. I'm calling them if it's Alexi, I'm calling her Aria. If it's Mila, I'm calling her Alexi. I, that's that's insane. That's awesome, man. That's one thing that coaches is, dude. They have this thing about remembering the kids' names. It's great. Um, Let me ask you this real quick. Um, so what is one of the life lessons that you can say cheerleading has taught you?
Definitely that winning isn't everything. Winning definitely is not everything. It is about how you feel going on and coming off the mat and how you feel on stage. If you feel like you gave your 100% and you feel like you gave the best performance you could, like that right there is winning to me. Because
Wow.
seeing my athletes come off the stage super happy because of the performance they gave, like when they came off, what stage was it? It was our first competition. It was Spirit of Hope last year. It was my senior 4.2 Onyx. It was a full 30. Day one was not our best. And going on, they felt defeated. And coming off, they felt defeated. Then day two, they come out and they hit zero.
Wow.
And the like tears coming off the stage and them hugging me. We didn't end up winning, but that right there, that's what it's all about. That's one thing that I
Right.
want everyone to know, that winning is not about, it's not always about winning.
Right. And it's the the what you present to them as a coach matters so much. I feel like I'm backstage, and I feel like the vibe you give off when they come off stage is a huge impact on these athletes, because they come off stage, they're expecting you, they want to see your reaction, and if they see a negative reaction, they're going to be immediately down no matter what you said, no matter if you have a even I don't know. Yeah, I mean, would you agree with me?
Oh, like 100%. It depending on how the coach looks in the front, because I'm not gonna lie, I've been a victim of it. I have, and it was literally last season. I was at Candy on day one, actually, believe it or not.
Oh,
And like I'm like half their pyramid, like the end half of it didn't go. They all just like dropped and they just said, like they just stood there. And from there they could see me from there like yelling. I'm like, you guys gave up, like you guys gave up. But the only reason why we are like that too at the front is because we care so much.
yeah,
Like we want them to keep pushing, like you know what I mean. So like going backstage, like I'm not gonna lie, I was a little heated with them back there, but it was just because I care too much for them to just give up like that.
yeah, yeah.
So definitely it is true, the vibe that you have, like when they're looking at you, because they're always looking at you from the stage, they're trying to see if you're jumping and you're yelling and you're going like this, like you
Yeah,
know, if they don't see that, they're immediately like they want to start like shutting down a little bit. So like that's definitely something I learned after that. I kept my like energy up the entire time. No matter what I'm seeing on stage, I keep it up, because then when I come off stage, I was telling like, y'all, it is not as bad as you think it is. They look at the video like, wait, yeah, you're right. I'm like, exactly. You may feel defeated, but when you're looking at the video, it really doesn't look that bad. So we always like have to change that mentality coming off.
Yeah, that's true. And I'm gonna go back on the yelling part, okay, with
Yeah.
cheer. I'm gonna go back on that because I feel like if there's a coach, like I used to coach basketball, and I never had to actually yell, but I can feel the stress on a cheerleading coach when a kid's not listening or a kid's not, you tell them like 10 times how to do something and they're still doing it wrong. I can feel the frustration, but and going back on the yelling, I can see like when you yell, you're frustrated because you care about them so much and you want them to grow. You want them to get better. So I, as me as a parent, talking as a parent now, I don't see anything bad on yelling. Obviously, coaches coach differently, but if it was my kid, if you're yelling at my kid, I'll be like, listen, you're not listening. I'm on the coach's side, you know. But like you said, it's true. Like you care and you want them to do well as a team and as an individual,
100%.
right? All right. But I have a couple more questions for you. As far as like, how social media, and I asked the same thing to Slane before. Cheerleaders, you show one side on social media and you're always happy and you're always joyful. Every social media post is like, yeah, you know what I mean? Like you as a cheerleader, you have to represent cheer, right? But on those days that you're not so cheery, have you had those days where you're like, I know we're humans and where we get depressed and we get down, and you're not always that persona. Have you ever felt like you want to quit, you want to give up? How did you deal with it? Like, how do you deal with depression in general?
It definitely that's always been something that I struggled with growing up, but then also with not because of cheer, but then with cheer too. Um, I definitely always have to sit back and think where I am at life and like if quitting ever pops into my head, which right now like it doesn't really do that to me anymore at all. But when it did, I was always thinking like I'm not just going to be hurting myself in that process because cheer is my whole life, but then also the people around me who also look up to me and also love having me around too. I'm going to hurt them as well. So definitely sitting back, talking about it. I mean, therapy, I'm always the one to push it for everyone. I'm like, listen, like go see a therapist. They're the best person to talk to because it's somebody you don't know and they will not judge you. They are going to hear you. They're going to hear your thoughts. They're going to actually tell you the things that you need to hear that's going to help you feel better because it's always good to talk about things. And definitely when you are dealing with that depression and anxiety, it's always good to also fall back on someone that has been that route. So like with my kids, that's why I have that personal connection. I'm like, listen, I've been in your shoes. I know exactly how you feel, you know? And it's just good not to jump the gun. Like, give it a second. Think about it. Talk to someone. That's always the best thing to do.
Right. Um, as far as like, um, I know talking to somebody, like you said, it's a really it's a good gateway to let your express yourself and let them know that you're there's something's going on, right? But um is are there other ways that you cope with depression or like on a days like that you
No,
you,
I
you
see
don't
what you're
see
saying.
you don't see yourself like growing, or you don't see yourself like you're stuck at a certain spot, and you look at other, have you ever compared yourself with other people and be like, man, I wish I was there, and then you start getting down yourself, like, you know what I mean?
Oh,
Because
100%. I have. Yeah.
the only reason why I'm asking is because kids nowadays, athletes, kids, they compare themselves so much to other people, to other physiques nowadays with social media. Everybody's like, oh my gosh, she's so skinny, I want to be like her, or and I'm fat, and you know what I mean? Like that that will make a kid's mind completely, turn around and become depressed without them
Mm.
even knowing. So have you ever dealt with that, or an athlete dealt with that? How would you how what advice would you give to somebody like that?
I have definitely felt like that. And like I'm saying it as a like when you feel like you like because I've said it before. I was like, I don't like who I am. I don't like how I look. I don't like who I am. And I've said that sometimes. And to be honest, I know it sounds crazy, but sometimes it's okay to think like that sometimes, because then from that you can build a better version of yourself to kind of just in a way like destroy that person that you were before in a way. So like all those negative thoughts and stuff like that. I'm not saying it's like go around crying all the time and stuff like that, but it's more of a like it's okay, we're humans. It's okay to feel like that sometimes, but the only person that can kind of change the way you feel is yourself. So like I didn't like the way I was looking. I didn't like the way I was. Like I after COVID, I gained probably like 100 pounds. I was like almost 400 pounds at one point, and I've lost so much weight of it. And I told myself I didn't like that, but it was because I put my foot down and I said, "All right. I mean, if I don't like who I am, I loved who I was as a person inside, 100%. But more of like my image, I kind of did what I needed to do to make myself feel better. I'm not going to compare myself to someone else. I'm just going to help myself feel better."
Gotcha. So you reached that point where you're like, enough is enough. I don't like what I'm seeing. I need to get better.
Yeah, so it's not like a you should hate yourself type of thing, because I never want anybody to do that. I want you to love yourself for who you are. But like, I mean, we all change, and in life that's normal. So like if you want to, you can just make yourself the better version of you.
As long as you're happy. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, as long as you're happy, just focus on being the better version of you. Level up yourself. Don't try to level up someone else, try to level yourself up.
Hmm. Great advice. Great advice. That's awesome, man. I have one more question for you, and then we'll wrap it up here. So this is the last thing before we go. Okay, so let's say all the cheer videos in the world, online, anywhere, any social platform, they go away. They disappear. There's nothing, right? And all the cheer knowledge disappears, goes away, and you're left just with you and an athlete. What are three things, three valuable things that you can pass on to this athlete so they can be successful?
Definitely trust your gut with anything.
Okay.
Trust your gut. Um, Confidence. Always have confidence. Don't be the person in the back. Always want to be the person who's don't be the person in the back, be the person that everybody comes to watch.
Wow, awesome.
Like don't be the fan, be the superstar.
Yeah. One more.
And definitely like no matter what anybody says to you or what anybody just any things that just people say, because obviously social media, that's one thing that like that's where it hurts the most. People look at the comments, people are always trying to compare themselves. Don't compare yourself to anybody else, because at the end of the day, you are the best you that you can be. You know what I mean? If
Yeah.
you are around people who you love, surround yourself around people who love you. Surround around yourself around people who are always going to hype you up. You want to always be in a positive environment. You don't want to be in an environment where you're there because you're forcing yourself to be there, which is sad to say. That's what a lot of kids are doing right now with gyms out there. They go to a gym and then they think it's something else, and when they get there, it's not. And then
Yeah.
they start to say, "Well, now I'm kind of stuck here." No, go somewhere else. Don't surround yourself around negativity. Surround yourself around positivity.
Awesome. I'm gonna touch a point where you said be you, right? I I like that because you know how so many kids compare themselves or they want to be, let's just say, Gabby Butler. And she is her. And you are you. Be your own unique self. I love that you said that, which that made me think of that. And
Yeah.
you know,
Like I have a mentality when it comes to that type of stuff where it's like, I'm not gonna want to look at someone else and be like, oh, I wish I could be like them. I'm more the person where it's like, and I'm not like self-conceited and I'm not like arrogant or anything, but I'm just
no,
like, I'm the star of the show. Wherever I'm at, I'm gonna want to be the star of the show. And it's not because I'm forcing attention, but more of like that's what gravitates toward me. Because that's what
yeah,
I want to be gravitated towards.
yes, I agree. Dude, thank you so much, man. That was this is a great conversation, man. I appreciate you being here on the podcast on Cheer Up. I enjoyed chatting with you, man, for real. Thank you so
No,
much for
likewise. Love this. Love everything. It was really good.
oh, dude, thank you. No, thank you for taking the time to be here and spend a couple of more than a couple of minutes with me. But yeah, man, you spread some good inspiration for the kids, some good knowledge. I love how you think. It's great. Keep being you, keep being great, keep inspiring and motivating these kids that you have as a coach and as an athlete. Because I'm sure the kids not only see you as a coach but also as an athlete.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, when I cheered on our non-tumble team, the kids were watching us. Well, literally, literally half of the staff was the non-tumble team. I'm not gonna lie to you. So they were all looking up to us all the time.
That's awesome. That is awesome. Yeah, man. I love how the cheer community is, especially with the coaches and the kids. They all look up to one of the coaches. They all make, one coach makes an impact on one kid, and this kid sticks to that coach, goes to them, and they love that coach forever. And I see that your athletes love you, man. I see those videos on Instagram and TikTok. It's awesome, man. Thank you for being you, for real.
Thank you so much.
Is there anything else that you want to say before we go?
Um, Definitely, like, if I'm excited to do this again later on in the future, definitely, and hopefully bring on my really good friend Kendall, and maybe even have you on our podcast too, Mad Talk, Table Talk, and
That'd be awesome.
swap our brains basically, because that's what
Brains,
we all love to
yeah,
do, and talk to each
yeah.
other as coaches and stuff, and kind of like pick at each other and gain knowledge from each other.
I would be a cheer dad because I'm nowhere near a coach, but
But that's good as a parent side, definitely having a parent who's very involved in the cheer world as you are, which, like, I applaud you for that 100%, because I've seen parents who aren't as involved, that you're like in there 24/7, like you are
yeah.
involved in their lives, but then also you're not a crazy cheer dad where you're like, listen,
No.
you didn't do this because of this, and that's why this is happening.
Yeah. Or I'm not in the coach's faces. Hey, my kid is da 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 da. I'm not like that. No way. I let them do their thing. Listen, that's why I'm paying to do this. I let them do your thing. But yeah, that's awesome. All right. Yeah, man. I'm looking forward to being on your podcast or you being here again. Dude, it was amazing. It was great. It was great. Thank you so much.
You're
Um,
welcome. Thank you.
all right. All right. Thank you so much, man. And I'll see you later. Thank you for everybody for watching. I hope you enjoyed this podcast. And I'm going to leave all of Alberto's information in the comments. I mean, in the description down below. So check it out. Give him a follow. And yeah. All right, Alberto. I'm going to call you Bird, AKA Alberto. How about that?
That sounds great.
All right, man. All right, man. Thank you so much. See you later, guys. See you, Bird. Peace, man.
Bye later. Peace out.